30 seconds to go. Yeah. So, welcome to this area committee. So welcome everybody here. Before we start, I have something that needs to be added as an emergency item. So in accordance with the provisions of section 100B 4 of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended, I have agreed that the UK Shared Prosperity Fund will be considered as a matter of urgency. The ground for this is that the committee's comments are to be reported to the executive on the 23rd of July, so that the UK Shared Prosperity Fund can be spent within the required timescale. I propose to take the item immediately after the Pride and Pendle Fund impact. Okay, we'll bring that in later on. I think introductions, introduce ourselves, make sure that we're all heard. When I listened the other week, here we are, Chris, so, yeah. You didn't watch Christmas, Chris. So, when I listened the other week when I was away, I could see everybody, but I couldn't hear. I thought that was so try myself clear. My name is Councillor David Hartley. I'm the Coach Wards Councillor and also for my sins chair of this meeting.
Good evening, my name is David Walker, Assistant Director for Operational Services and Area Coordinator for West Craven Committee.
Good evening, Chris Church, one of the Barnoldswick councillors.
Councillor Brian Hartley, Barnoldswick Ward.
Susan Land for Earby and Colts Ward.
Councillor Lola Wick for Barnoldswick Ward.
Glenn Whittaker, Earby and Colts Ward.
Karen Shorrock, Salterford Parish Council, Clerk and RFO.
Angela Mayers, Salterford Parish Council.
Leanne Barrett, Barnoldswick Council.
David Whip, Local County Councillor.
Ryan Gifford, Senior Regeneration Officer at Pendle Council.
Rebecca Ferguson, Committee Administrator for Pendle Council. Can you not hear Rebecca Ferguson, Pendle Council?
Right, so thank you for the introduction. So first we obviously have to go through things, and the first thing that we have to do is a declaration of interest. So members are reminded that it's a legal requirement concerning the declaration of interest. A member must declare and disclose all peculiar interests which they have in any item on the agenda. A member with a disclosure of peculiar interest in any item may not participate in any discussions on that matter in the meeting and must not participate in any vote taken on the matter arising in the meeting. In addition to the Council's standing orders requirement, members with a disclosure of peculiar interest to leave the room where the meeting is being held while any discussions or vote taking takes place. Members' attention is drawn to the requirements of the Council's Code of Conduct relating to the disclosure of other registrable interests and non-registrable interests. Has anybody?
Thank you, Chairman. Can I declare other registrable interests as follows? Item 8 as a member of Lancashire County Council. Item 9 as a member of Lancashire County Council. Item 10 as a member of Barnoldswick Town Council. Item 11 as a member of Lancashire County Council. And item 14 B as a member of Lancashire County Council.
Thank you, Chair. May I also declare a non-pecuniary interest in item 10 as a member of Barnoldswick?
Item 10, likewise, Chair.
Okay. That's that everything? Okay. Good to go. So, item 2 on the agenda is public question time. To receive a maximum of 15 minutes questions from members of the public on issues which do not appear on the agenda. Is there anything from our people here that they would like to bring up that's not on the agenda and that they haven't registered? I know that Suzanne is registered to speak later on. So, anybody else? No?
Yes, I just like, as the member of the public, I brought up last meeting about the Skipton Road, about vehicles parking on the pavement. We had a near-do ourselves last week with a car parked outside Sadie's on the footpath. Now, all down there now, it's so dangerous. There was another accident down there. I am terrified of seeing a child being knocked down, or a mother, anybody. Something has to be done before we see somebody fatally injured. I mean, we've had 3 or 4 now accidents coming out of our house road junction there. You cannot see. They're parked right on the corner. There's a gym there. They park there. You can't see. They're even parking at the bus bay. Nobody seems to want to take any interest at it at all. And it's too little too late. It's better to prevent this before we see a serious accident. I mean, we keep seeing these cars being smashed or whatever. Speed is another thing down there as well. They're just not interested, they just go tearing to you. And I can see a serious accident waiting to happen. So could the county councillor get onto it, or West Craven Area Committee, get onto Lancashire County Council and get something done before there is a serious accident. So that's me, number 1. Number 2, I'd just like to say if David Walker would like to take back a message to your department, to the young lady on the phone today, because we thought the wagon had broken down, race wagon. She's very nice on the phone, very helpful. I can't thank her enough. And like I said, we've changed the times of disposing of the waste, but I'd like you to take a thank you back on my behalf for a quick response.
Right, thank you. Yeah, it is nice to get good feedback, and positive feedback rather than negative feedback. Brian?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to back what you just said about that road. So I'm a member of Kale Health Hub. We often get reminders for members not to park anywhere near. I was at the gym 2 or 3 weeks ago and there was a really bad smash on Wellhouse, and that obviously that could have been fatal. I know, there is the gym there and everything, but, Kyle and his team do say, please do not park anywhere near, but where all of us are backing for there to be some measures in place, because people speed up from Aldi, and like you say, it's a fatality waiting to happen. My children go to Gisborne Road School. Yes, I'd just like to second what you said there.
Thank you, Chairman. This was raised at the last meeting, and if you look at the minutes on page 2 and 3, you'll see that it has been raised with the County Council. I think Jennifer will appreciate, as a former County Councillor, that the County Council isn't the fastest organisation in the world, and I'm sure if she raised it when she was a County Councillor, that just indicates how long it does take to get things changed.
Thank you. Yeah, Jennifer, I totally agree with you. I mean, I actually parked on there today, going into Marston's and it was horrendous. It really was. So maybe we can back to what we've already said. Please stop the wall. Yeah, we could do. Please, Rebecca. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, all right. We want to do that. Yeah. Okay. So no other Questions from the public? No? Okay. So we'll go on to the minutes. You'll have a copy of the minutes from last meeting. Everybody happy that it's true record? Yeah? Happy to. Councillor Church. Say that, second. Thank you. So item 4, police and community safety issues. We've only got figures, the police aren't with us this week. So everybody got a copy of the figures? It's all there, yeah? It's like, just looking at, it seems to be dropping, all crime seems to, well, all recorded crime seems to have gone down by about 4. But I mean, there are so many people that go on Facebook that there was anything, I can't even ask, because there was a thing that came up 6 days ago with a couple of young lads going through people's backyards, and when you try to tell them off or whatever, they would kick and punch your car wing mirrors in. We did ask for people to report it to the police and send the footage to the police. They've got footage there, but I'm just not sure whether people have confidence in reporting matters to the police anymore. But we do ask anybody that is listening that if you have any police matters that they do report them to the police, because unless it's been reported to the police, then the hotspots don't occur. So nothing can be done about them because they said that there is no crime.
Thank you, Chair. I think following on from the last meeting, when it was a concern raised about the man exposing himself within the park, can we request an official update from the police regarding that? Yes, I'm aware they put something on Facebook. However, there are a lot of very, very concerned parents wondering, you know, we really don't know what Facebook's like, and the musings and everything else. But I believe it's got past crimes. And I think it would be great for Gareth Ingham to come back and update people, especially coming into the summer holidays, because the reality is that if people don't have trust in the police that they're going to deal with it, I feel that we're going to see some members of the public taking it into their own hands if they do see that around their own children during the summer.
Sorry, yeah, Councillor.
Thank you, Chairman. I did meet with Gareth Ingham and Donna Waterworth, the local policing officer, and police community support officer. In terms of the person exposing themselves, that individual, I am told, is currently incarcerated, but not for that incident. It's for another matter. However, what Gareth did say was that the licence that they're on doesn't preclude them from going into a public park. So they're looking at amending or bringing a fresh prohibition in relating to not being allowed to go into a public park. Chairman, whilst I'm speaking, the other issues that I discussed with Gareth and Donna, there was an incident on Warwick Drive which raised quite a lot of public concern. The police would be grateful if anybody has any information relating to that incident, because there's been nothing forthcoming that they can act on. In terms of the problems that there's been at Letcliffe Park, I raised the issue of the prom parties that have been up at Ratcliffe Park, and the police, Gareth and Donna, have agreed that they'd put it in the diary so that next year they anticipate that there might be issues. And then the other issue that you raised, Chairman, of the two young people looking into yards and behaving inappropriately. The school that they attend has been approached, and the officers in question are going to take that further with the school in question.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Susan?
It's been brought to my attention that there used to be 2 speed signs at the bottom of Wiswick between the punch bowl and the lay-by. And one seems to be missing, whether it's been knocked over, and one is overgrown. So whether we can get something done about those.
Yeah.
Chairman, on that one, the one that is missing is laying in the overgrowth, and I reported that to the County Council a few months ago, and whether they're going to re-erect it or replace it, I'm not quite sure. The regulations with respect to road signs have been changed, and there only needs to be a sign on one side of the road now. So it may be that the County Council has decided that they're just going to have one.
Right.
But generally they've been put there other entrances to built-up areas as a sort of gateway, so people are aware of the speed restriction. But when I last checked, and I've got a picture on my phone, but you won't be interested in trying to find that. When I last checked, it was still laid in the grass.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Ballandswick has seen a recent increase in antisocial behaviour which has caused some damage. This damage has been quite costly to us as a council. I'm just wondering whether or not the police have a budget where we could perhaps tap into to engage our young people in more positive activities, or create spaces within Ballandswick to engage young people more positively.
I think at one point there was that they were doing something down Pendle Park or something like that.
Chairman, I'm not here as a spokesman for the police. However, I did talk to Donna and Gareth about Leanne's question there, and the police had previously indicated that they would be interested, willing to help fund the proposed pump track, which it's intended to go down Victory Park. And we did touch on that, and they would be quite keen to add any funding to that if necessary. Although I did point out, and I've got Ryan sat on my left-hand side here, that ought to be covered by the Pride in Place Impact Fund, so there might not be a necessity for land pack or any of the other funding sources that come through the police to get involved with that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. So we'll agree to send some letters out and things like that. Yes. Okay. Should we go and to chase up what's happening? So.
Sorry, Chair. I know if we're done with the policing, it's fine. Raise another issue that a constituent has raised to me as a matter of urgency before we go to planning, if at all possible.
Oh, yeah.
So the disabled toilet car park, the radar key ability has been disabled and it's been used as a storage room. There is one of our constituents with a brain injury who is unable and has been unable to use the public bathroom for a number of weeks now. He's been told to go and speak to the town council, but he can't get up the stairs. So he found me yesterday, and he's asked that as a matter of urgency, first and foremost, he would like to know why the disabled toilet has been used as a storage room, the radar key's been deactivated, he can't get into that, and when is this going to be taken as a matter of urgency, because it is a loss of, you know, basic human rights as a disabled person to be able to use a bathroom in a public place. Thank you.
Okay. Are we aware of anything from Barwick Town Council of being used as a storeroom?
I'm not aware at all. I will find out for you and I will come back to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, yourself, Chair.
Thank you. Okay. Right. There's nothing else on police and community safety matters. We should go on to planning applications. There's no applications. So we'll go to appeals. This is the appeal against the condition of the grant of the Planning Commission on Two-Way Park Road.
It's just been one, Chair. So
Yeah.
it's just for information at this stage.
Yes.
Chairman, on this one, the property was granted permission for a new window, or new windows earlier this year, and unfortunately one of the conditions which is being appealed against was that no part of the windows should be UPVC. That is what the applicant is appealing against. If I pass you a picture of the property in question, you can see that the first floor window has an extensive UPVC panel instead of a window, and the ground floor has UPVC and the like. And it just seems unreasonable to me that the planning consent that's there says that you can't put new UPVC. It's ultimately been a conservation area, and if you look around the town centre, you do find that there are quite a lot of UPVC being put in. I'm aware, Chairman, that this property had requested a grant towards the new frontage. I'm also aware, in general terms, that to do these frontages in wood is sort of like 3 times, 4 times as expensive as doing it in UPVC. Given all the circumstances, Chairman, it seems to me that the condition saying you can't use UPVC is unreasonable, and I wonder, Chairman, whether the committee would be willing to ask the planning manager if the circumstances surrounding this could be reconsidered. I don't know whether that's possible or not, but it strikes me as being entirely unreasonable to insist that it is it's quite ugly UPVC panel isn't replaced with a UPVC window, but is replaced with a wooden framed window, which what was proposed was a lot better than what we've got currently. So it just seems bizarre.
Yeah, it's on the enforcement as well act on the next, on number 6. Last page, number 4. There's an enforcement notice that's already gone out. So, I'll look to.
Thank you, Chair. No, clearly there's a breach of conditions that has been recognised, identified and enforcement actions taking place. No comments. Councillor will place them back with the planning officer, but we can't guarantee that the request will be accepted.
Yeah, they have put a time limit on there, haven't they? 2 months. Okay, so can we...
Yes, I'll pass that on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Rachel? Okay, which there's no, that's the only appeal on there. So we're going on to enforcement action. Same old. But no, I believe there is some update on the block of Wardell Stories, North Block in Erie.
Thank you, Chair. We met with the Planning and Enforcement Officer this afternoon and we just advised that the application had been submitted with the Environment Agency and things were potentially out of the developer's hands at the moment whilst he's awaiting the outcome of the application. The 2 issues regarding the bridge and the initial issue on the North Block and South Block are linked together and he's waiting on Environment Agency's go ahead for approval before he can take further steps to renovate the property. My understanding.
Something at least. So fingers crossed that we get somewhere with that. Number 3. The land junction with Greenfield Lane. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, the information that we got from the last meeting was that members wanted us to take or consider some further action against the developer. We sought advice on what actions could be taken, and unfortunately there were no powers to do works in default on the land. Mainly the council doesn't own the land and there is a third party that has some property or land involved in it. So works in default was ruled out. There was a request to consider escalation to the executive for enforcement, when we reminded that the executive can't look at enforcement issues, but the executive will be open to considering alternative methods of mediation, but unsure whether the developer would be likely to enter into those discussions. So the outcome was that the only possible route for us to continue with is with enforcement as we have in the chair.
Okay. Anybody any comments?
Chairman, on this one, I'm very concerned about road safety and pedestrians who are using that section of Greenfield Lane are put at unnecessary risk because the footpath hasn't been put in as it should have been. I'm aware that the enforcement encompasses other things as well as the footpath, but to my mind the footpath is the critical thing, and it's complicated by a previous consent that the County Council gave United Utilities, who own part of the land in question. Committee did meet with United Utilities a few months ago to discuss the matter. I understand that information has been passed on to the developers for them to work with United Utilities to achieve the footpath link, but nothing has been done. And in the meantime, the various parties who've been taken to court on this have got fines and costs and surcharges totaling, well, 29,320 and 25,514. So, I mean, these are significant sums. I don't know whether the developers, the directors of the company in question are actually paying these fines or paying these costs. But presumably, the next time it goes to court, the sums in question are going to be significantly higher again. But none of this is achieving the footpath, and none of this is achieving the safe route that there should be there for members of the public to get through to Gisborne Road. And at the moment, the whole of the surface is wrecked. There's side fencing erected which blocks off a bit of road that people could go on for a small section. Could I suggest, Chairman, that before the next meeting the area committee pays a site visit so that everybody can appreciate just how significant this risk is and the importance of getting some work carried out?
Okay, so we'll put it, built for a site visit, yes? Yeah, but also the fact that there's a public footpath, I think maybe we could raise it in community safety as well.
Chairman, the County Council signally failed to attend the last site visit which they were invited to. I would suggest that the County Council would be the relevant body, and perhaps if they could come along to the site visit as well, that may be able to force the issue a bit further.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Chair. Would you like us to raise a traffic liaison as well?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be raised, we're going to send on a letter to Lancashire County Council, and also we're going to raise the traffic liaison as well, and also community safety. So we're going to see if we can push from three-sided tap, see whether we can squeeze anything out of it. Okay, thank you. Item 4. Okay, land at the junction of Greenfield Lane.
It's the same plot.
Same plot. 3, land to the west of Brogden View. Number 5.
Thank you, Chair. It's 5 and 6 are linked together. Again, there were 2 breaches of conditions we were advised. Both tend to be around drainage. My understanding is the developers submitted a technical drainage note, as far as I'm aware, and that's now with the legal authority for comment. So there has been some movement positively, I suppose, on that one.
Thank you. And the last one on the list, 7, which we've already come across, is 2A Park Road.
Chairman, on that one, the last one, is it the committee's intention to pursue the enforcement action? I know that it's coming into effect today, but is it in the committee's powers to say, well, hang on a minute, it just seems a bit unfortunate to me.
And we'll ask advice.
Again, Chair, I think. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I think there has been a breach of the planning conditions, as was explained, and because of that breach, this action is being taken place.
Okay. Yeah.
I said we could raise it with the
Yeah.
officer, but we can't necessarily decide.
Guarantee.
Yeah, we can't get it, so we can raise it with Julian,
Yeah,
please. Yeah. Just to see if there is anything.
yeah, that's fine.
Bang.
Sorry, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to add in terms of fairness, you know, it might have come into enforcement today, but I think we do give grace to other people and, you know, as far as I'm honest, as somebody that's trying to set up a new business within Farnell's which we really push for independence, and I just think if we can give a grace period and speak to the officer, it'd be in everyone's best interest. Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Should we vote on that? Yeah. Do we all in agreement for trying? Yeah. Anybody against it? No. Right. That's all the enforcement actions. Okay. Item 7. Area committee budget. We also have a bit in from the Robert Window Foundation. Wasn't there? Okay, so we have a bit in from the Robert Window Foundation on the old grammar school. We're basically looking to raise funds to put a new roof on. The total amount of the project is 45,000, and they're looking for 7,000 or as much as we can give. This did come in very late. I just wonder whether we suggest that put this off until the next meeting and go down and have a look and see exactly what they want. Yeah, Glenn?
Yeah, I'm in agreement, because when I read this report I thought, well, me personally, I don't know anything about this building, and I think deferring it to another meeting, it's not time restricted or anything, it gives us time for a transfer site visit and evaluate the situation exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just about Councillor Whitaker, you know, the Robert Window Foundation do a lot for the local community and the grants, but also it would only be fair and proper with how late it came in to do a site visit and assess fully. Thank you.
Yeah, and that would take up the remaining, if we did, it would take up the remaining allocation for Ely. So I want to suggest that we defer until, we're happy, everybody happy to do the, okay, just defer for a site visit, and then gives us a chance then to go down and have a look at, because they do some very good work, and
Chair, I noticed Barnellswick's allocation is 0. What happens if we haven't been submitted for Barnellswick?
good question. I think the money's, well, as I say, fortunately,
I'm not sure.
no.
But we can ask obviously if we get back to it. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Chair, there may well be some projects that the committee would want to reconsider if it became, and it was deemed that sufficient to warrant funding. So, not all, just say allocation today to the committee.
Yeah, okay, the Salton War Memorial. So we've got attached item 8, proposed paving and chains, bollards to keep the area safe, and put a new path and surrounding. I know previous occasions that Salford Parish Council have been against this. So I would bring
Thank you very much, Chair. As it says on the agenda, I've touched base already with Scott Rowley, and so we know sort of where we're going. The only outstanding issue is still the issue of the flagpole, which obviously we discussed at the last meeting, didn't we? Where you both suggested that there was a potential volunteer for raising and taking the flags down.
I can take that one step further.
Go on then.
The Royal British Legion have said that they will adopt raising flags,
Yeah.
and we'll also have 2 volunteers come forward from Salford who would also like to be involved with flag raising.
Excellent. Can you share that information with me then?
I will do.
Yes, so that I know what's going on.
Yes.
We did discuss it at the last parish council meeting anyway, because I explained that had we known that there were potential volunteers, that may have changed the decision, and they were in agreement. So obviously that would now resolve that issue, flagpole and paving.
But what I also did notice as well as not possibly an issue is when I drove past is we're going to speak to Scott Worley just to make sure that the trees are not in the way of a flagpole. Because they're very overgrown and on that side. Councillor, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. I too can confirm that there are volunteers who have contacted me to say, you know, that I'm happy to do things. And I think we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
In terms of the position of the flagpole, when I was sat in that chair, I visited with Scott Worley and Jonathan, and we established that the 5-metre flagpole in the location that's shown on the plan would not be in conflict with the trees. I'll just finish off by saying that this is County Council land, it's adopted highway, and the County Council have said that they are happy for the scheme as set out, and I think it's you know, it's an excellent scheme in the people laying these Salford War Memorial will have a bit of space rather than a very narrow strip to negotiate around. I think it'll be a vast improvement. I just hope that it can be completed before we get to Remembrance Day this year.
I think where we're left with the executive is that we would consider removing the flagpole if no volunteers came forward, and to draw volunteers, I think that should be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't conflict with anything that we discussed with the executive.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you. I just wonder if the path between the memorial and the flagpole should be paved. Just, you know, to have a as one contiguous stretch. Just seems odd to have it in isolation like that.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Chairman, the scheme that is set out uses some granite flags that have come off a county council job somewhere else, and there is a certain square meterage, and this scheme uses up all the square meterage that's available, and that in part is why it's extremely good value for money. If you want to put extra paving in, you're going to have to buy more paving to actually implement it, which isn't beyond the pale, but I don't know in terms of the finances whether it actually would go beyond what is already allocated for the scheme.
Sorry, Chair, do you want to cost it on that? Just to see what the impact would be?
if that's possible. Yeah, there, do some costing on that. Yeah, so yeah. Okay. Any other? Happy with that? Go, yeah, go forward. Okay. So, Dark Lane. We have the speaker, yes. So, would you like to speak first, Susan?
Yes.
Okay.
So good evening, and thank you, Chair, very much, and good evening, councillors. I've just got some photos, so I haven't got a few, so I didn't say. So that's Dark Lane. So, Mr. Ingram is the inspector, and he's made modifications to Dark Lane. So, to the order, and it's being recorded as a different status now. So it's not just a bridle way, it's being put forward as a restricted byway. So horses, cyclists, horse-drawn carriages, unmotorised vehicles. So that's being put forward now at this moment. It will have to be widened, Dark Lane, to accommodate the additional traffic. And I would like kindly to ask the councillors to have a survey done showing what width it will have to be. The old walls within the lane will have to be dug out because it's very, very narrow in places. So the majority of the trees actually in the lane and abutting the lane will also have to go. So there's going to be complete destruction of the trees, hedgerows growing and abutting the current lane. And it will destroy the habitat of many species which rely on that area for food, birds, etc. there. So we have that. And then I sent a letter in to Mr. Scrivener, and it has been accepted as an objection to this. The failure to address such issues of the environment and safety by invoking the limitations of the 1981 Act, or even to alert the authorities responsible for environment and safety issues, seems to me incomprehensible and irresponsible. I suggest that at the very least the councillors draw their attention to these great problems and ask authorities that do have the power to address them, if they would do that. Also, on the safety aspect, on Saturday, the 16th of May, there was a serious accident, and it occurred at the junction of Lower Varges Farm Track and Birchall Lane, which required the attendance of the police. Unfortunately, there was nobody there to be hurt. So these are pictures. I did ask the police at the last meeting if they'd look into this. So if you could pass these ones. So I'm sorry I didn't copy it for everybody.
No, I have to just tap that around.
I'd just like to say the width, because they're hoping to make it into this restricted byway, it's going to have horses, horse-drawn vehicles, cyclists. I don't know about walkers because I don't know if Mr. Partridge is going to put the footpath that currently is actually on the field running parallel to Dark Lane. I don't know where he's going to put that. I don't know if anybody here knows anything about that. Is it going to go into this restricted byway. Don't know. And also there's the other question of the cost of, which is going to be just amazing, the cost of this and where is it going to be, who's going to pay for it to dig everything out. But I would really like if you could actually put forward a survey to see what's going to happen there, if you can. So that's what I have to say today.
Thank you, Suzanne. In time as well. 30 seconds to spare. Okay. Questions? Comments?
Chairman, I mean, this is a county council matter as the highway authority, and I think Suzanne raises several issues there which are very pertinent, but talking to Suzanne earlier today, I suggested that there's sort of parallel arguments, because the process that is being gone through at the moment is a legal process about public rights of way, and the only objections that the Secretary of State can consider at this point are any evidence that challenges the legal status of the highway, and I don't think, you know, strong as the issues are in terms of the environment, the fact that this is a wildlife corridor, it's very, very overgrown. That doesn't affect the legal status, which is a completely separate issue. And if anybody read the full documentation, you would see that back into the early 20th century, it was maintained by the authorities at that point as a carriageway. So the historic, and that maintenance was at public expense. So technically this is a highway maintained at public expense, but it hasn't been maintained as a highway for, what, 80, 90 years, 100 years, something of that nature. Perhaps it was after the Second World War when the Daily Urban District Council and Skipton Rural District Council threw their hands up and said, well, we can't maintain it anymore. But nevertheless, there's this old adage, once a highway, always a highway. So it's there in law, and clearly there's a body of people who, you know, want to see it return to be able to be used as a bridleway, and that's why its use or its status has been challenged, and where we are at the present. I understand entirely about the environmental vandalism that there would be if you destroyed that route, but it doesn't intersect with the argument about the legal stuff. And the only thing that I could think of is if the route could be extinguished, if there was a stopping up order, but that in itself would be challenged by the people who were championing the reopening of the route in order for it to become a bridleway. So I don't see any easy answers to this. And then finally, the reason why Earby Urban District Council, Skipton Rural District Council, West Riding County Council, I suppose, as well, stopped maintaining it was because of the expense. So is the County Council going to move on to Dark Lane, spend a fortune in cutting all the trees down in order for it to be able to be used as a byway, a restricted byway. Given the number of bottles that we've got, I very much question whether that would be a sensible use of public money. So, I mean, I wonder whether the only thing that the committee could do, or one of the things that the committee could do, would be to ask the county council if, given all the circumstances, it would be appropriate for the county council to initiate a stopping up order. Stopping up order being a technical term, in order for the route to cease to be a highway. And I would suggest that that's what the committee did. In terms of the public footpath, and that's what I've used, not recently, but over the years, I've used the footpath, and it's interesting going up the footpath and looking at Dark Lane and knowing that, you know, it's a former route that used to go up the hillside and connect through. So that in itself is a highway on the definitive map as a footpath, and that would be made, that would be kept as well as, unless that was extinguished internally. So the only suggestion I could make, Chair, is to ask the County Council if they would consider stopping it up, the lane itself, and trying to get rid of the restricted byway designation. But I don't think there's the proverbial cat on a hot tin roof chance of actually overturning the legal decision that has been taken, because I think the documentary evidence is very strong indeed and will not be something that the Secretary of State is going to dismiss.
Yeah.
Councillor Whip's actually answered a few of the questions I was going to ask, but I mean, obviously I'm aware I've used Dark Lane many times a long time ago, and it would be an absolute crying shame to see all of that disappear. And I get the legal argument, I totally understand that, but again, like Councillor Whip's just said, it's a cost. I can't believe that Lancashire County Council are going to spend a penny on it. It would cost an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
And I agree, I think the committee should write to see whether they can. Yeah. You're not going to challenge the legal argument, but there's there is an argument for saying, but don't do it.
Yeah. Anybody else, any observations? I was lucky enough to be in this, asked to be in this when I first came on the council by Suzanne, and Suzanne got the name next to him, has prepared a portfolio here of maps going back to 1775 and beyond of Dark Lane and its uses. And there's just one here that said, as you said, until the century 1925 it was reported that the surveyor from the District Council was instructed to carry out Dark Lane because it was unsatisfactory condition and it was reliable. The council extend the route of Dark Lane was not specified in C to D, and that has been left to this refusal. That's going back as far as 1925. And I think, yeah, if there's anything that we can do, and thank you, Councillor Whip, for suggesting that stoppage notice. I'm happy that we could possibly, just need a vote. Is everybody, anybody against it? To write to the Welsh County Council for ask them to do a stoppage notice. Hopefully, Susan, it's the best we can do because of the law. But if it's something that we can do, then
thank you so much.
you're welcome. Thank you for coming, and thank you for. Can I give you your map back? Because I'm scared I might lose this. Pass that down. Thank you for coming this evening. It's been an amazing. It is. Yeah, there's so much work and effort gone into it. It's a credit to you. passionate about it as well.
I love you.
Yeah.
I
So the thing, I know that there are curlews, and curlews is my always, my fallback, as anybody knows, curlews is my fallback thing, which is obviously a protected species. And I know that they must be up there, they must be nesting.
Oh, there's curlews up there, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So perhaps we could mention that. Yeah. Yeah, it's always my fallback thing of the curlews. So I know we've got plenty of them. Okay, we're all happy to. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you. Right. Item 10. So the drainage issues at the allotments on Greenfield Lane. I could pass this over to you, David.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think the agenda sets out the latest positions. The engineering manager was visited on the 17th of June. Representatives of Barnoldswick Town Council, Chair of this committee, and yourself, Councillor, and other ward councillors. The issues related to the land drain, which has been damaged. The engineering team were intending to replace the short section pipe, and at the time of this report we were trying to get in touch with the allotment owners to gain access, and I think this afternoon we have heard that we've had been some discussion with the allotment owners, so the board for the entrance house.
Chair, so yeah, I can speak to Scott Hawley this afternoon.
Thank you very much indeed.
And Barnoldswick Town Council are satisfied with the level of engagement that we've attempted with the allotment owner, and we're happy for the work to proceed.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we've never heard a word.
Sorry. Would you like to?
Am I too soft? I do apologise.
No, don't apologise. I keep asking for some microphone.
All I was saying is that Barnoldswick Town Council are happy for the work to proceed, and that we have reached out to the allotment owners ourselves. So I feel that between us we've done as much as we can to inform them of what's going to happen.
Thank you.
Item 11, Giddle, North Street and Castle View, Barnoldswick.
Again, Chair, the agenda sets out the latest position, but my understanding is that more information will come to a later future meeting on relation to costings for the scheme.
Anybody any questions?
Just note that the site visit took place, Chair. We spoke to the resident who made the initial ask for the resurfacing, who just happened to also be there at the same time. And we've got an idea of what we could do, which is some improvements to the steps, to look at putting in paved access across the bottom of the street, and then replacing the rusty handrail down that top side by the back street.
Okay. So I do apologise, I missed that side. But I do know where it is. Okay.
Sorry, Chairman, just as well as getting prices through Scott Worley and Co, could I suggest that Scott enquires of the County Council as to whether they would contribute to the work as improvements to the public rights of way network? So in part there is a prow, and it may be that the County Council can contribute to any costs that there might be. I'm not being terribly optimistic, but I think it's worth asking the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's done.
Okay. Right, item 12, EB Memorial Park toilets. Okay, so Clark. You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really need to repeat what's on the agenda. Obviously, the work is ongoing as we speak, looking pretty good. And I can't believe that there's money being spent on the toilets if they're not going to be reopened. Hence the questions, what's the plan?
Okay, yeah. I think we did.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. So, thank you for the questions. It's appreciated. I spoke with Green Spaces team and the operations manager this afternoon regarding what their understanding is of the use of the facilities after the works have been taken place. There's clearly no involvement from Pendle Council in relation to the toilets in York and closing future management beyond what is within operational services remit to maintain the building as it should be. So the main use, I am told, will link to Celtic Phoenix activities and the activities of the bowling club. And both, my understanding is expressed that they will be happy to open and close them when they're using the site. I suppose the question back is was there some discussion at Kelbrook and Suf regarding?
No, the last discussion that was had, and I think Councillor Wick will agree, it was stated quite categorically that West Craven Area Committee would take on the future management of those toilets. Because for me, I mean, I'm a resident of Suf, and lots of people who use that park are asking when are the toilets going to open. And obviously, the fact that the money has been spent from the PIP funding on toilets that are only going to be available for people who use the bowling club, and as and when there's a football game, I think there'll be some serious questions raised.
Karen is quite correct. It was always the intention to have the toilets open on a daily basis, well, at least during the summer months and perhaps in winter as well, depending on usage. Had I still been leader of Pendle Council, I would have been seeking to get that cost met by Pendle Council at the centre, with the fallback position being this area committee budget. And I suspect the latter, to be honest, because obviously Pendle Council don't maintain any public toilets anywhere else in the borough. So, Chair, I mean, my suggestion would be that you ask the executive if the executive would be willing to fund the opening and closing and cleaning, and in the event that they are unable to do so, to see what the costs would be for those daily attendances, and for the area committee to fund it out of the budget. There's still quite a lot of work to be done. The cleaners at Atkinson's were engaged in a deep clean today. The plumbing work is still to be sorted out. Some of the electrical work has been done, and obviously external decoration has been carried out. So, it's looking better, but there is a significant amount of work still to be done as part of the impact fund work. The revenue costs, as was the case when Earby Town Council pulled out of funding the park, it's likely will have to be shouldered by the area committee. But there's no harm in asking.
Can I just make one comment for the record? I think ultimately, if we struggle to get a resolution, I think the serious question that needs to be asked is why Pendle Council, who are in charge of the PIP funding, would allocate money to buildings or to projects that they know there isn't the money available to actually have the revenue going forward, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's just for the record.
Chairman, the money is there in the area committee budget. If you can get somebody else to pay for it, all well and good, but the money is there.
So, Chair, do you want us to find some costings? or-
Yes, could we see
and then
costings first?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's could be the way forward first. Find the costings. What would you say? The exec request the exec first. Well,
I can bring in the details back to this committee if you wish, and then
yeah, because as I said, it's still not finished yet, so gives us a chance to get some figures and then decide whether we want to do exactly thing. And hopefully they will do that, as you say. Yeah, we all happy to do that, all happy? Yeah.
I'm just looking at the last question on there about the daily changing facilities and such like. Are those already in the plans?
Yeah.
For people going through the park, obviously using the playground, etc.
Chair, so based on the wishing to have the facilities opened during each day during the summer and potentially winter, if we seek a quote for that, bring that back to this committee.
Yeah.
For this committee then to decide whether it can afford or wishes to seek executive central funding. Is that the way from here?
Yeah. So I don't know whether there will be a baby changing facility. I don't know. I didn't see the plan.
I can raise a question.
But we can raise, again, I know the question's there.
Thanks, Chair. What I will say is there's currently on there, I didn't realise, there is a stone building
No.
and then there are the changing rooms. And the stone building is actually a standalone disabled toilet
Right.
with a more or less brand new, unused stainless steel toilet in there. It's quite a big room as well. And that's got a radar key on it, whereas the other one hasn't. The one that's in the main box. So what you're looking at is you're going to have two disabled toilets, both with access, and then a separate gents and a ladies' toilet.
Sure it's not a storage unit?
No, it's definitely not. I've been in it. I was in it yesterday. So perhaps there could be some baby changing facilities put in the
Well, they do have them in, don't they? They drop
They
down.
do, just a
on
drop
the
down.
drop down thing.
Says picking wipes up from the bed, which is kind of
Okay. Okay. Pride, item 13. Pride and Place Impact Fund. Hand over to Ryan.
Yeah.
Lean forward.
I want to keep the report simple, so I have to come tonight and be here for to explain any questions. But yeah, the item is after some I'll just do it to one. There was a Barnoldswick allocation and an EV allocation, and the Barnoldswick allocation is kind of fully committed, but this relates to the EV area allocation. So after some variations within that programme, there are some funds, just under £29,000, that are not currently allocated to projects. So the purpose is to ask committee of what their recommendation would be for use of these funds, and that will be taken back to Pendle Council Executive. So options. It's up to you what you want to put forward. But I thought options would be you could, quite obvious ones, increase budgets to existing projects within the programme. And the projects that we do have in the programme are the changing rooms and toilets, the PAT project at Eden in Memorial Park. I think the funds could help those to do further works, do better works. There's also the Kelbrook play area, play improvements. There's the EV Town Council projects, the footbridge across West Craven to to better playing fields. And a member of staff at Eva Town Council has said that they do have an idea where they could fund a footpath. So they could do the footbridge and then do a footpath and then increase accessibility. So we've already had ideas there. They have the community space at the Eva Town Council buildings. And there's the former railway banking landscaping project as well. And that's probably the kind of project that can scale up or scale down. So that could probably make use of additional funds. So that's what I thought. Option one, increasing budgets to existing projects. Or you could look at projects which were considered but couldn't be shortlisted due to funds. And there are some, I think people have got copies of these, so I've made notes of what these are and their suitability. So that's an idea. Or you can look at responses to the public survey, which we undertook, and members of the public suggested ideas if there were further funds which could be funded. And again, the summary of that. Some could be suitable and some wouldn't be. So I think people are looking at these. So if that's something you want to have a discussion on.
Could we have a fourth option? That if one of those was suitable, that we could return the money to Eby Town Council so they could do with what they will?
These are just suggestions.
Yeah.
So just for clarification, the fourth option then is to return all the unallocated money to Eby Town Council for them to allocate it into projects they want to do within the criteria of the rules.
Yeah.
No. I like that one.
We can't do that, Chair. That's not the decision of the executive. We've got to suggest what the monies go to in this meeting, and I'll go back to the executive this month for the final decision for the allocations, because this seems to be allocated and spent.
So
Can you not just then pick the projects that they wanted and suggest those?
That's what I was going to say, Chair.
Yeah.
Chairman, the Town Council suggested projects and then said that they weren't going to carry them out. The funding that is to be reallocated is the money that was put forward for the top 3 Eby Town Council projects. So they said they were going to do them. If you remember, we had a meeting to hammer out the programme which the Town Council were comfortable with. And then subsequently, when that programme was agreed, the Town Council said, oh, well, we don't want to do those. And that's why the bulk of this funding is available for reallocation. But, I mean, some of the stuff that the Town Council wanted to do wasn't eligible for the programme, and it was never Eby Town Council money. You know, it's not a case of returning it to the Town Council. It's government money that Pendle Council is distributing. So I would suggest you look at the response to the survey that was carried out, where you've got half a dozen of the respondents saying that there needs to be something for children and young people. And fourth one down, youth projects, skate park, play park, etc., etc., etc. I think there was a big criticism about there not being much in for young people, and unfortunately, because of the way that the Town Council withdrew the support, the one project that was benefiting the player was knocked on the head. So I would look at what the public were suggesting should be a priority.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I don't think there'll be anything lost or gained in allowing EAB and Town Council to submit their proposals, because if you're already going to review the list, why not allow them to add their proposals to that list?
Yeah.
And I appreciate there's no representative from them today, but I think I have something to say about pride in place from my town council. And I think if they were here today, then they might actually suggest that themselves, that they would put forward some ideas. And like I said, we're not losing or gaining anything, because if you're already going to review a list, asking EAB to add on to that list that is going to be reviewed, it seems sensible and fair.
No.
No. Well,
yeah, just one, well, a few questions. But the first question is this survey that we're doing, how many people partook in the survey? Do we know?
I can tell you that because I
Oh,
haven't.
thank you very much.
Chair, may I?
Can I just these are where people suggesting new ideas, so there are 30 responses in this.
yeah.
Chair, so the survey that was completed by Pendle between the 23rd of February and the 8th of March, it was a public survey that was undertaken. And there was a total of 112 responses, with 11 of them not providing any comments. So in total, there was 101 comments. And actually, when you read it, EAB's is the biggest. It goes on to a number of pages. So EAB will tell you there were 40.
40 from you. So just to clarify then, so there's 40% of the survey, people that the survey have replied are from the area. So I'm assuming that 40% wanted the money spent in the area, on projects in the area. So it's not a lot of people really from the survey as a whole to say this is what people want in the area.
Yeah.
You know, so it's thin on the ground as that, I think.
Yeah, I agree with what Glenn just said. It's not really, you can't call that a representative of the area because there aren't enough responses wherever they're all from. Unfortunately, neither of the EB appointees can be here. Both have meetings that they can't get out of. So they did say that they wanted to pursue the work on the Station Road toilets, Hilltop Pavilion, which is a youth thing because I know there are lots of young people that are take part in training and such like on that recreation field. And there is also a mention of the ongoing CCTV project. I know came bottom, but was quite an important thing for upgrading the CCTV to protect the current area assets, as it won't take any more cameras and that box that they already have there. So I've just brought that information on for them.
Okay. I've got an email that's been sent to read out. Did David Healy Town Council request that the unallocated funds from the PIP Stage 1, this has already been communicated with Ryan Gifford by the Town Clerk. Healy Town Council have several projects which could be achieved in the public realm before September, and request the money is allocated to Healy Town Council to use. PIP, additional page, was issued yesterday afternoon. It was without enough notice to respond. However, I have been advised by the MP to formally request that the PIP funds are allocated to Erie Town Council. I spoke at the last executive meeting requesting their final decision will be made at the full executive committee at the next meeting. I ask you to read this email at tonight's West Craven area meeting, which I am unable to attend as I am out of the area attending a long-standing commitment, the arrangement of which have been rearranged so that as of the next West Craven meeting in August I will be able for all meetings. Other councillors who have full-time employment and businesses in the town are unable to arrive by 6:30 p.m. As our Borough Council, as well as Councillor Susan Land, I formally request you support the matters discussed. Yours faithfully, Councillor Dan Anderson, EB Town Council Corp T in the West Craven Area Committee. Okay, so we've read that out. So, Brian.
Yeah, and some of the projects which the Town Council did take out, so for example, Rushton Avenue Playground, they said that that's already gone ahead, so they wouldn't want, well, they asked if we would consider funding to that, but that's already been done, so I think that's out of the picture. But yeah, I mean, people are in favour of projects that EB Town Council wants to do. Yeah, there are some already in the programme, so both need to be considered. I guess any others would need to be in discussion with them.
Are we time sensitive on these things?
Yes, yeah, we are, yeah. We are looking to have the project complete by March next year. Funds have to be committed by that time, so we are looking at projects that can be delivered in that time.
Okay, and also to go forward to the next executive, which is on the 26th of July.
Off the top of my head, Chair.
Yeah. Yeah. Suggestions, people? What do we think? What's the way forward?
Chair, could I ask some questions? From what's been said, I don't know if it was Susan, is the Town Council now saying that they do want to go ahead with the two schemes that were approved in the original programme, which were the changing rooms
And the toilet.
at the rec and the toilets at
By
the station.
Yeah.
Is, Chairman, that the understanding of Mr Gifford that the toilets and the changing rooms at the rec are the Town Council's, two of the Town Council schemes that they want to go ahead with?
It's been mentioned to me in an email from their clerk that they would welcome contributions to these. The original projects were withdrawn by resolution of the Town Council. It's not been communicated to me that the Town Council has re-resolved, so we would need clarity on that. But yes, they asked if they would consider contributions to those projects. Even though there was already contributions in the programme to those projects.
Chairman, in that case, in part, would it not be possible for the area committee to say that they would support the re-inclusion of the projects that were previously programmed for taken out at the request of the Town Council, if the Town Council is now saying that they want to go ahead with them? And if so, how much of that funding would that take up?
And they had said that they wanted to go ahead with them out of their own funds, so yeah, we will need to check that that's not the case already.
So, Chairman, how much was in the programme for those two?
I've not included that in here because it'll be the majority of that fund because we took out benches which were only a few thousand. the pitch, the drainage of the football pitch has been reallocated.
Is it paragraph 3.5?
Oh, I think you've got it right. Yeah. So the project League Town Council withdrew at 3.5, 25,000 and a half.
Yes, Chairman, that's the total of what that includes the Russian Avenue play area as well.
That's 3 projects. Yeah. I think Rushton Avenue is £12,000 from memory. So it's probably about half that then.
Right, so something like to clarify.
My suggestion is agree to reinstate the 2 projects that were previously in the programme at the amounts that they were there previously.
Were these nominated by Town Council?
They were, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know that obviously this is time sensitive to get it to the executive. Would it be possible to bounce off Eby Town Council and just to confirm that with them, that that's okay before it goes to the executive? Yeah? Okay. In agreement with that as we... Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, could you just clarify that again? So you picked 2 projects that Ely Town Council which wanted to partake in on phase 1. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And the allocated funds, the funds that are shortlisted here with the available funds is £29,000. So, I'm trying to look how much is it total up to for these 2 projects for Ely Town Council? What's the full?
Hopefully Ryan's going to calculate this.
What have they done to Greg?
Good question. The thing is, it's time sensitive and things need to go by the executive. So these are ones that we didn't nominate, that they have nominated. So I would imagine that they would hopefully agree to them.
Those 2 projects, 17,000 for those 2 projects.
Okay. So that would be leaving. About 8,000, maybe.
So it's
29,000, yeah.
And that was including £1,000 from the Town Council, but it's my understanding that we don't want to put in funds. So. Yeah, the 8 to 18,000.
Including 11,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we clear on the 2 projects that we're going to?
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
So which 2 projects were this on?
Yeah.
I thought you would.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
18,000 project costs.
Which is the red.
Yeah.
I mean, that's to clarify as well, do they want to reopen those toilets without CCTV, or have they got funding for CCTV? Because I think that's one of the ones that they didn't want to do the toilets if they didn't have a CCTV coverage, so it needs to be clarified there.
Yeah, just another quick point. Would it not be easier, or is it possible to reallocate, go in with option 4 and reallocate all these funds to the Town Council? Because the vows will come back before the exec meeting with what we actually want to spend the money on.
Could we recommendation for them to come back?
Yeah, because you said exec meeting on the, sorry to interrupt, you know, you said the exec meeting on the 26th of July?
Could be,
I think.
yeah.
Right, so,
Yeah.
so we've still got
I'm
about
actually just going to check the calendar just.
Council Rick said is that these projects have got to be approved, so we can't start adding total meetings because they've got to be approved, costed, etc. before this meeting, which is why, you know, those two suggested that they've already put forward. They were looking to get a contribution for to help with the CCTV as well, but you know, I don't know where that will go. And the timescale.
Yeah, I think there's one main unit of the CCTV that they need in order for the individual cameras. So the total cost about 65,000, but they have broken it down into individual areas. I'm not sure. I would need to kind of check how much that main unit was, but there seems to be, Chair, general support or supporting projects around the town councils liking. So does it need to be quite so specific? Could it be something more general about supporting every town council in the programme?
Yeah, yeah, these are three options, so yeah, or the fourth one. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Chairman. I mean, the bulk of the funding that needs reallocating is the funding that was allocated for AB Town Council sponsored projects, which we withdrew. So, if they want to put forward specific schemes, that's same difference, isn't it? But my understanding from Mr. Gifford is that freestanding CCTV isn't eligible for the government programme. So if they want to spend the money on CCTV, it won't fit the programme. So it does need to be specific projects. And I'll just make a final plea for you to have a look at the suggestions that came from members of the public, of which there are 24 on the sheet in front of you. So these were positive suggestions about what should be done. And a full third of them, working it out now, sorry. 8 out of 23. 8 out of the 23 suggestions involve things for young people, and there is nothing in the list. I mean, you know, the changing rooms, yes, they could be used and will be used by young people, but you know, there was a very strong message that some of this funding should be used for projects for young people, and I think there will be criticism if that message isn't listened to.
Well, these all need to be funded and put forward by the 23rd of July is the exec committee. So these would then have to be funded. Any projects on here, suggestions, surely would need to be funded and costed out to go forward.
I suppose if there are specific projects that you're looking for, yeah, that we need to get further detail on that. I mean, like I said, they have suggested to me that we could put additionality to things like the footbridge project and do an additional path, and that's a project yet to be carried out. So that would be one that's already in the programme that's could be quickly added to and has extra benefit. Again, the railway banking probably has scope for being better and spending more money on it and making it an improved project. That's the kind of thing that could probably scale better. But these can be for general discussion, possibly with the town council, to say which projects would best benefit from it.
Yeah, I think unfortunately in the position. Sorry, Captain.
Can I just ask very quickly, if the area committee were to choose items that are on the list that David's referring to, how does that work in terms of you then forcing a council to do projects that weren't on its list? Surely we're coming back full circle.
Yeah.
And I know the history,
Yeah.
I know what's happened, but they originally had a list. I get that it was withdrawn, but why do we not just allow them to say, that's the pot, tell us what you want, in the scope of the project that you'd already earmarked, because you know the costings then.
Yeah.
Give them a deadline,
Yeah.
because the exec's on whatever date, crack on.
Yes.
We agree entirely with that.
Yeah.
And as do I.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what Diane was saying in her message, isn't she?
What we suggested first was number 4. To option 4.
And as it's only a recommendation back to the executive, it's not to
Yeah.
the final decision, that could probably be more appropriate. And they might want to discuss it with the MP as well in consultation, so it's contentious.
Okay. Right. So, how are we going to word this?
Carefully.
Chairman, the Ely Town Council need to come forward with specific projects within that funding envelope.
Well, I think if we say that's how much money there is available, what are your projects?
And that needs then to be reported to the executive
Yeah.
for the executive to make a
Under the
decision.
decision. Yeah.
Sorry, Chair. Diane's message says, I have already been communicated to Ryan Gifford. So have they not provided officers with a list of projects?
The clerk suggested there was still like contributions to projects which were removed.
Which
And
projects?
that he says they wish to make it clear that they would like the funds to go back to them. I advised in return, this was before the executive meeting last month, that wasn't for my, that wasn't within my authority, but they could make a representation to the executive. The town council didn't, but a member of amendment did in a virtual capacity.
Sorry, Chair. So just to be clear, so Ely Town Council have asked for the funds to be allocated to themselves. It's been explained that that isn't really how things are done. But they haven't then come back with a list of projects that they would like to be considered.
No, they asked for contributions, if we would consider it, to the projects that have already been removed, which, I mean, obviously, if they hadn't been removed, they would have had contributions to begin with.
Sorry, Chair. So those projects have already been scored and costed. They're just asking for them to be put back in consideration.
Yeah.
Correct. Right.
And they asked for them to take an out.
At least one of them's already been done, so we need to get status on others as well.
Okay. And there's 2 projects that they've asked to be put back in.
Right, so
Probably.
yeah. Right. So, option 4. Could I suggest for option 4 that we recommend the executive, etc.
Chair, so I think what you said is recommend to the executive allocating funds to Ely Town Council for projects that fit the programme criteria that have been listed previously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all happy with that.
Yeah, if you could just say that again, please, Mr. Wall. This is option 4, and
Option 4, sorry Chair, was recommend to the executive allocating funds to Ely Town Council projects that fit the programme criteria and have been listed previously.
right. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, is that what we're going forward with?
Yeah.
We're all happy with that? Can I ask for a vote, second, okay, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody against? Stays? Okay. 3. Right. It's right Yes, sorry. Yes, I do apologise.
Thank you, Chair. So, Chair, today I met with Pendle officers regarding bylaws with Pride in Place projects, and I've received the project applications. Thank you, officers. One of the projects, things have changed since that project was submitted by this committee to the executive. The project's being the performance stage on the square. As you might or might not be aware, Barnoldswick Town Council are in the process of a transfer of assets. So that asset, the town square, is going to become an asset of caretaker ownership for Barnoldswick Town. So Barnoldswick Town Council, we think that the project is probably premature because we don't even know what we're going to use the town square for. Once the asset has been taken into ownership, it is intended for the council to have a site assessment so that we can understand as a responsible caretaker owner what types of activities the square is suitable for. So we don't know ourselves whether or not a performance stage is needed or not needed. So whilst we were speaking with the officers today, we did discuss the other projects. What we would like to ask this committee is when Ryan meets with the executive on the 23rd of July, if he can ask the executive to approve for the performance stage to be withdrawn and for the funding to be split between the Heritage Trail and the sculpture project at Letcliffe Park. Because as we've been discussing those projects today, costs were estimated initially, and now we understand the proposal that we would like. We kind of understand actually we need a bit more money. So if we could split that money between those other projects, then we can make sure that we get real good quality. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you.
Projects have been slightly by the council. If there's a desire that that isn't correct and should be varied, I can put that to the executive. That's obviously heard from Barnet Town Council and whether you all agree.
Just for, I think, clarification for me, I think just based off what Glenn had said for public contributions, what is the kind of public consensus in regards to that being split of Barnoldswick residents being consulted?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry.
Just going off what Glenn had said about EAB residents being consulted about where the money's spent.
Yeah.
What's the Barnoldswick Town consensus? I don't think I've seen.
Yeah, so the Barnoldswick Town consensus, again, that was the survey that was done by Pendle Council during the period of 23rd of February to the 8th of March. The general consensus, when you read it, is that they don't want the performance stage. They don't want a permanent stage on the town square. Yes, I do have a view. So I could read them for you if you wish.
Yes, please.
Okay, so just bear with me 1 second. I'm not familiar with all of them. Space like many mainland Europe towns, for tables, chairs, for restaurants, cafes, bars to use. Music can be played without a stage. I think the idea of sail shade covers over the square is a great idea. It doesn't take away space and it can be used creatively. And there's a request to get rid of the big, bulky, ugly marquee. It seems to be there most of the year. There is no requirement for a staging area on the town square. In capital letters, it has already been turned down by Barnoldswick Town Council. I don't know if that's true or not. Somebody asking to fix the potholes. Then another one, Barnoldswick. I don't like the idea of a permanent performance space on the town square. The general consensus is most people want the pump track, but I'm very much against the idea of the permanent performance space in Barnoldswick Town Square. So it has gone out for
Yeah, no, but it's interesting, I think, to hear
yeah.
all of that side. I know I'd emailed you the other day about the collapsing. It's almost turned into a joke in the town now. How many joke chairs can you have where they're collapsing on people? I'm assuming this is going to be then put forward again for the Pride in Place funding in regards to new furniture. I know there's the benches, but yeah, the humorous collapsing chairs that keep going down on people over and over again.
I know it's probably not for this meeting, it's not on the agenda, but our council officers are already looking at tables and chairs. And we are going to be rebudgeting over the recess month, and then we will be taking that rebudgeting back to our council. So we are absolutely aware of the table and chair.
Yes, I know. I think there's probably quite a lot of people watching that maybe wouldn't follow up on any of the meetings or town council meetings, and the amount of people that have said, another one's collapsed, another one's collapsed, another one's collapsed. Yeah.
And we don't actually have permission to have those tables and chairs like that.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate that Pendle have allowed us to do grace.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
So we're asking for the money that was going to be for this transfer to go into the other the trail and the sculpture.
Thank you, Chair. I can appreciate where those comments are coming from. I mean, that proposal isn't to be on the square itself, it's to be the back of the square on that back bed. And I mean, that intention is that it will be used as a storage space to replace that monkey old marquee that people are commenting. So I think there's quite a bit of nuance here, and again, it's just like the Erie comments, it's not representative of everyone's views. Yeah, and this hasn't been discussed at a town council meeting. There's no resolution to this effect. I think this is just the comments of some town councils.
It's the comments of the majority, Chair, and it will be taken to resolution tomorrow at our town council meeting, which is it's just unfortunate that this meeting happens before our town council meeting.
Do these need to be with the exec on the 23rd?
Yeah, I can add it because I've got visitors tonight and Cole on Thursday, and then I'm going to put those decisions into a late executive report. So if that's done this week, if there is a decision on that this week, I can put that into that.
Okay. So what are we thinking, guys? Should we use?
Complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was going to say it's straightforward for what Leanne's saying about what the town council decided for the town square and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Again, if the majority of people don't want a permanent stadium, because obviously it's presumably used a few times a year, whereas the square can be used all year round for various activities, as Leanne pointed out, this was right. So I don't know exactly where the committee will go from this, because obviously if town council needs to meet to propose and decide, and that's not till tomorrow, is it? We'll be stuck for time, aren't we?
No, I was just going to say that for me it sounds pretty simple really. Have your meeting tomorrow, make a decision, communicate that back to you guys, go back to Ryan, present it at your exec.
Susan, yeah.
That was my opinion too. That
Could we,
it's same as with the
agree to
it's
this?
up to the town council.
Yeah. Pending Barwick Town Council agree to this tomorrow. Yeah. If not, then you come back with. Yeah.
The minute is Pendle Council land, so the West Craven committed previously said that they want to use project, it makes sense that you can do it as a Pendle Council project.
Right.
The land is transferring to the town council, and town council don't support that, does seem slightly awkward. So, but yeah, obviously if the result tomorrow that they don't sue the town council, they're adopting the land, that does make sense. And we can put that forwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to clarify, Chairman, I've been in favour of the performance area. Just to clarify, if I could, what Glenn said, as I understand, apart from the performances, it's to be used day to day for the storage of the furniture. As Leanne said, in place of the two sheds, tents at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it says on the application. It would be used for storage.
Could we request a design from Scott?
I think the problem we've got is that people of Balmoral stated that it's not something that they want. And I think because the asset is going to transfer over to Balmoral Town Council, we are trying to have an assessment to establish what can the town square be used for safely and appropriately. And at the moment we don't know that as a council. So the options are, if you proceed with this project, it could potentially be turned down at planning stage. What then happens to that money? Is it too far down the line for it then to go to executive to say, actually, let's redirect that money to somewhere else? We already know it's a premature project, Chair, so why don't we take it to executive on the 23rd, explain the situation, and ask the executive to make a decision?
Looking for you for advice in Ray.
Yeah, well, we're just slightly there in the Brighfield programme, so I don't see why, if Bournemouth Town Council resolve as a town council that they don't want to do this and want to put money into the project, and that has a support of West Craven committee, that we can put that to the executive and say members have asked for a variation in the programme.
Anybody have anything they want to add? Are we happy to? Yeah, can we have a vote on changing of the projects? In favour? Anybody?
So it's two changes. So we're voting on changing the use of the project money.
Yeah, voting for Barley Town Council to take away the stage and use the money for
Sculpture Trail.
Yeah, split the money between the Sculpture Trail and the Heritage Trail, depending on the vote at Barley Town Council tomorrow. Okay? Yeah?
Yeah. I've got it.
Okay. Does anybody would forward that?
Can I just add something? That it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's like they haven't had the town council meeting yet, and while the land is still belongs to Pendle, like I say, it might be a bit premature, but also then how long is it going to take for it to transfer into Pardon?
It's imminent.
Yeah. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? You want to give the vote back to Balmoral residents, but then that's it. Most people that I speak to, maybe it's because of the circles that are moving, want a stage because they're all about the music and like bringing this like European vibe to it and like more keys, you know, making it more about that. I haven't heard anybody from that kind of areas, but so it's a really, really tricky one. Yeah.
Okay, so the vote is, as we said, to retract from the stage and the money to be split between the sculpture and the Heritage Trail, dependent on tomorrow's meeting at Barley Town Council. Do we have anybody that's want to put that forward?
I'll put that forward.
Okay. Okay, anybody who's going to second it?
The Anne can second.
Yeah,
I'm saying the Anne can second.
I'll second it, Chair.
okay, alright. Okay,
Okay, so yeah, if the town council resolve that they would like to change, then West Craven Prince means support that. We can put that forward as a incentive.
all those in favour? All those against? One abstains? 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, good question. Oh dear, casting vote. Right. Yeah, it is, because I speak to so many people and they like the idea of music on the square. But I can understand the money. Yeah. It's, and we can't defer it either to another meeting, can we? No?
Because, yeah, towns got agendas and paves went out and things, it's just keeping it down the line and short for most time scales.
Alright. I'm going to go against. So I'll do it.
Okay. You're going against that. Then the stage project is going ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's in the board, because that's what West Craven Council wants to do in
Yeah.
the first place.
Stage. Well, can I just vote for the stage proposal to go ahead? The proposal?
That's the extent.
Yeah, as it stands. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Chair Potts. What about the emergency? There. Okay. So we've got the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. Following completion of the scheduled public grants work in EB through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, there is £6,853 capital remaining. The engineering manager has no further planned works to undertake in EB as part of this scheme. The remaining amount is not large enough to carry out any further works of significance. The Council 11 committee is asked whether these further works, this can be spent in EB. This should be noted that the UK Prosperity Fund funds must be spent by the end of September 2026 or returned. If there are no additional capital public grounds works to be delivered immediately, the committee is asked whether it should consider transferring the remaining allocation to Brighfield, where members have put forward a scheme for additional works in their area using up their remaining allocation, which could be utilised also. Okay. Right.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, obviously, this is what you call as an emergency item?
Yes.
Yes, right, okay. So, right, I'll take me a second to get my head around this. Right, okay. So, it's to get back by September 26th, you have a date for deciding?
Spent by the end of
to be spent
by the last day of September.
So, with this just coming up on the agenda, would it be prudent to defer it to the next meeting and then give the Town Council a meeting where they could decide if they want to spend the money or where they want to spend it, and if you can do it by September?
There isn't timescales for that, so because the money's got to be spent, it's going to be July executive, and then you'd be able to spend it in August, September. If you delay it by a month, there's a risk that you're just not going to get those funds used
You'd only have
So-
a month.
Yeah, but I've just, I heard that, sorry.
No, so on.
Oh, sorry, I was just like, alarm bell started ringing when you said that potentially it could go back to Briarfield, to Briarfield.
Well,
Is that a possibility?
well, that's what they were asking, but not necessarily going to be voting on.
Yeah, so, if it does go to the July executive, it's going to be August executive. His meeting's at the end of the month, so it just leaves you very, very little time to do anything with it by deferring it.
Right.
It's not a lot of money, so it's only, you've got proposals, it's minor works that it's looking for, but there is another area who can make use of it, rather than going back to government.
Chairman, this is testing my memory, but my recollection is that the final phase of UK SPF, the funding for public realm work was £420,000, and we supplemented that by a further £210,000 from Pendle Council's capital programme. So of the public realm work, it was split a third, Healy, Barnsley and Briarfield, and I don't have the detail of how it was split between the two separate funding pots, the UK SPF and capital programme. But it would seem to me that there's sufficient flex within the overall programme for that 6,000 and odd to be considered to be part of Pendle Council's capital programme rather than UK SPF, and it's an accountancy issue rather than sort of losing money in September. Ryan may have information about that. However, the funding, that global pot, the UK SPF and the capital programme, was for improvements to the public realm, and that principally took, it was the flagging throughout here. Clearly, with 6,000 odd quid, you're not going to do another street with flagging. It's meaningless. However, there are some bits and bats. There's some old litter bins that could be replaced. There is other street furniture that could be replaced, and that would come within the scope of the funding. So that could be done on Victoria Road. However, there is another project which is in the pipeline, and that's the Pride and Place Impact Fund project for Colne Road, and it may be that that 6,000 odd could be allocated for that project in order to increase the funding for that. My question with that would be, is that going to be something that happens before September, or can there be discrete elements that are carried out before September in order to meet the deadline, if there is a deadline? So the suggestion to committee would be, in the first instance, look to see whether it can be added to the Colne Road embankment scheme, and either used in part, to buy furniture or whatever is needed in advance. And if that fails, utilise it for the replacement of the grotty old bins and what other street furniture there is on Victoria Road that could do with replacing, and not to allow the funding to go over to Briarfield.
Anybody? Any?
Second.
Yeah, I would second that. Yeah, I've also got one here from an EB resident, 7 Linden Road. Rob Bainbridge, who's emailed me tonight. Again, he said it's, you know, brought to their attention via the EB Voice Facebook page that there's nearly £6,500 in funds to be allocated to EB. It's going to be lost to Briarfield if a small project can be identified. I understand this allocation will be discussed tomorrow, tonight via the area committee. It will be a loss if EB doesn't identify something. It would be great if we had again an EB Town Council with us to help us with this. This is going to be difficult proposition, but even said even if they're proposing planters next to the toilets and station pub and things like that, something to brighten up the other areas, which has to be better used than going to Briarfield. So, Susan?
Coincidentally, I also had a note here about putting some towards the embankment scheme, because I thought that would be a brilliant idea too. And I've also had a suggestion, which I'm not sure who is responsible for this, but there's a sign in the town centre, a signpost which points you to different areas of the town, which is really out of date now because the library is no longer there. It's now the other side of town, and there's no longer the Lead Museum. It's the old grammar school. So there's no signposting for that, and people are asking other people and saying, well, where's the old grammar school? There's no signposting for it. So I don't know whether that would come under this scheme as well. Who is responsible for this signage?
So, David, what are we suggesting?
I think proposals.
Right.
Have you captured those, right?
Embankment, yeah, all streams and street funding, Victoria Road, yeah, possibly new signage, so people can find their way around our village. Are we happy to put that forward? Yeah. Would this need to go via EB Town Council or not?
No, they don't. Well, no, if it's street and the streetscape and the street furniture and things, you know, if the assets aren't in their ownership, it remains in our borough, and we can ask the engineer and manager to design a scheme based on these kind of small items, signage, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, are we all happy with that? Do we have a proposal for that? Yeah, for any seconder? All in favour? Against? Standing items next. Number 14. Outstanding items. So the Northall Community Centre. Now talking all the residents. So, will there be any update on? No update now. Okay. Not that. Actions and premises awaited from Lancashire County Council on safer routes to school following the site visit to the church school Clifford Street. Officers in discussion with Lancashire County Council report following meeting held should be the next meeting. So the first meeting with Glenn as a new councillor, the elected councillor. There's this Barlick school when we went to the school.
Yeah, we went to the site visit.
Yeah. Because it was Scott who was getting bits together.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all that we have for the public. I've just got here the exclusion of the public and press, to consider excluding public and press from the meeting during the next following items of business, section, etc. 2, the nature of the proceedings of business may be transacted, there will be disclosures and information which is relevant to the identity of an individual. May opposed, seconded. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We can say bye bye to the public.
Bye.